Trae Young spoke to reporters after Monday night's Hawks win and had this to say about it. "We've been fighting all year and this team never gives up. No matter what the score is throughout the game, we know it's a long game." Couldn't have said it better myself, Trae. Let's get into it. What's going on, Atlanta? My name is Jeff Rawlins, and this is Atlanta Sports Raw, your one-stop shop for everything Atlanta sports. We talk Hawks, we talk Braves, we talk Falcons, and we talk Atlanta United. Quick programming note before we get into Game 4 of the playoff for the Hawks. We are going to be talking some Braves and some Atlanta United later in the week. It has been a busy time for the Hawks with the playoffs going on. I know we haven't put any other Atlanta sports content out yet, but we're getting there. And I hope you join us for that. So subscribe and like the page if you enjoy what you see, and more content to come. But let's get into the game from Monday night. A game that the Hawks outscored the Philadelphia 76ers 103-100. A game where they were down by 18 points late in the second quarter. They had a gritty, tough comeback and held off the Sixers to win the game in the fourth quarter. They stopped Philly the last 5 out of the 6 possessions, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful win for the Hawks. A couple pregame notes before we dive into the first quarter. We did see that Korkmaz and Herter was going to be starting. Korkmaz for Philadelphia, obviously, and Herter for Atlanta. Solomon Hill did not play at all in this game. I thought that was the right call. Basically he was in the last couple games just to foul, to be a body in there for a few minutes. And Herter played the majority of the minutes the last couple games anyway, so I thought that was the right call. But let's jump into the first quarter. We saw that Young had some black tape on his shoulder. That was a big talking point of the night. And he said after the game it wasn't anything crazy, it was just a little sore. Nate McMillan didn't even know until warm-ups when he saw that tape on there, which I thought was a little weird. In most sports, football especially, if anything is worked on in the teams, it gets reported. Like, even if it's precautionary, if it's just maintenance, if you're getting taped up and getting an ice bath, it gets reported. So I don't know how he didn't know. Just thought that was kind of weird. But we noticed early on that he was rotating it a lot, just kind of doing this motion. And I don't think it was bothering him per se. It was more just like uncomfortable. And he did miss a lot of shots in the beginning. Missed 2 free throws and 4 field goals to start the game. There was also 4 misses for Philly to start. Just a sloppy first quarter overall for both teams, and pretty good defense. But we saw a much faster pace in this first quarter than the other couple games from the Hawks. Doc was quick to call a timeout to kind of talk about the pace because they got a few fast break points. I think it was 7 in the first quarter. We saw in transition they were going to those side threes with Bogdanovich pretty easily. He wasn't making a ton of them, but he was getting a lot of open shots. That's kind of the trend for the game, that the Hawks were getting open and getting good looks, but they weren't putting down shots. Like I said, the Hawks were pretty good defensively until that first Philly run, except Simmons and Harris were getting into the paint a lot. They were scoring on those quick drives. And offensively, the Hawks were very inefficient, especially at the rim. They did not make those point blank shots that just have to go in games like this. And I think it was a lot of missed opportunities for the Hawks in the first quarter. Could have been a much closer game going into halftime, and the Hawks could have pulled away late, winning the third and fourth quarters like they did. But they were not making those shots, so Philly did go on a 20-4 run in the first quarter, in a period where the Hawks missed 10 straight shots. Capella was awful early on. Bogey did hit a few shots to snap the run. He got a big and one call to stop Philly's momentum. And then we saw that all bench unit again. Luckily, Doc kind of matched him. It's just super weird that they keep going back to that. And it's like one team will do it, and then the other team will kind of follow suit until someone breaks that mold. I guess it's going to be like that. But it looks like they're playing a game in January right now at the end of those first quarters, start of the second quarter kind of thing. But at the end of the first quarter, it was 28-20. So let's move on to the second quarter. Okongwu was playing part of that bench unit, and he was really great defensively. Put up some great minutes to give Capella and Collins some time off the floor. And like I said, the Hawks were not making their close range stuff. They were 3 of 12 from the paint early on, and you're just not going to win like that. If that kept going, we could have lost very easily. In the second quarter, Tobias Harris was just continually making everything. He only took 15 shots in this game, was 7 of 15, or 8 of 15. And I thought he needed to shoot more with Embiid not feeling very good on the leg, as far as Philly goes. But he's been torture for the Hawks this series. We can't stop him. Just incredible for mid-range. We saw Embiid go out and actually go to the locker room for about 6 minutes, and the Hawks brought on a really small unit with Trey and Williams kind of on the floor at the same time, with Collins at the 5. And then Trey finally got his first points with 7 minutes 50 seconds left in that quarter. Trey just was not feeling himself in that first half. Was getting some okay shots. He took a couple bad threes, but that's Trey being Trey. But finally got some points, and then we saw Embiid come back in. He just looked uncomfortable the entire time, this whole game, and it caused him to play frustrated and kind of immature, I guess you could say at some points. But we'll get into that a little later. The Hawks did bring it back in that second quarter. It was 33-30 at one point. And then Philly just went on a huge run, 17-3 after that. They were giving Embiid that one-on-one post-up, which I thought was the right call. If he wants to take on Capella one-on-one, or whoever's on him, Gallinari or Collins, or if he wants to take them on one-on-one, close everyone else down. Don't let Harris or Curry get that outside shot, and don't let Simmons and Harris just drive to the paint for an easy basket. Give Embiid what he wants. He's obviously uncomfortable. Let him have that one-on-one, which I thought was a good call defensively, and we saw that show up in the final score. After Trey made those first couple shots, he was getting into a rhythm. Harris did have 14 points in the half. Like I said, he was lights out in this first half, especially during that 17-3 run that Philly made. And the Hawks just were continuously missing those open looks. It was 55-38 at that point with 3 minutes left in the quarter. And then what I think was probably the biggest 3 minutes of the game. I know that fourth quarter will probably trump that for most of you, but when Herter comes in and steals those 5 points in that minute period, it completely changed the game. The momentum was completely with Philly. If we don't come in and score those 5 points and they run it up more and we're down 23 instead of 18, or instead of 13 at half, we're in trouble. So that was a big turning point in the game. Got the momentum back on the Hawks side right before half, and helped them win the game. So let's get into the second half. I thought they were really quick to go to that. Well, not quick, but consistently taking the three. I thought they needed to utilize the paint a little more. Curry was shooting very well. He was not missing. He had 15 points up at that point in the third quarter, and we just couldn't get consistent stops. But our offense was playing well, so they got us back into the game in that short of a time period, and that helped with Embiid missing so many shots. I mean, as you've heard a million times by now, he was 0 of 12 in the second half. Historically bad shooting from Embiid. We came out with that big lineup with Collins, Gallinari, and Capella all at the same time. Something that we haven't seen before from McMillan, that he's used in these playoffs just one time, and it really seemed to work, especially with Embiid struggling. We saw that hard foul by Simmons where he almost took Collins out of the air. People calling for a flagrant 2, I just didn't see it. It was obviously a desperation foul, and that's what you want to do in that case. You want to take the foul and make him make both shots instead of the easy layup. But once Collins went airborne and Simmons took him out, it was a clear flagrant 1. I mean, any contact with a windup in the air is going to be a flagrant 1. I didn't think it was a flagrant 2 though. And for Simmons to go out at that point, to be ejected at that point, I thought would have been completely unfair. And I wouldn't have wanted to win like that if I was the Hawks, because there just wasn't enough there to send them off. But the Hawks were back within 8 at that point with 3 minutes to go. And man, John Collins turned it on. He was everywhere. Just his energy was bringing the crowd back into it. He had 2 really big put-back dunks, and then had another big dunk to just set the crowd on fire. And he was just all over the place defensively. He took that big 3 in the fourth quarter. That was one of the best plays of the night, off his own offensive rebound. But we'll get there in a little bit. The Gallo 3 right at the end of the third quarter took it to just down by 2. And at that point, Young had 14 assists. He'd have 18 on the whole night, which is another historic number. And, man, he was just feeling himself throwing the rock around. The Hawks took 101 shot attempts in this game on only 4 turnovers, which was absolutely huge. With a good pace, with that many shot attempts, even if you're only shooting 37%, you're going to give yourself a chance to win, especially when the Hawks are playing as good defensively as they were. And a lot of that was Philly missing shots. I thought they were not taking as many catch and shoots as they should have, kind of looking for that 5th better option and not finding it, which kind of played into Atlanta's hands. But like I said, the ball security and the amount of shots they were taking were definitely in Atlanta's favor. So Trey hits a big 3 right before the start of the fourth quarter, and it is 80-82. So let's jump into that very eventful fourth quarter. We come out, and a Bogdanovich 3 gives Atlanta the lead, the first lead they had in the game since it was 12-10 in the first quarter. They started it out without Embiid or Trey on the court. The bench did kind of come off quick besides Trey. I thought that was good. It was Lou Williams, and he was just exactly what you need Lou Williams to be. I thought he was taking less of that fadeaway shot that historically I'm not a fan of. He hits it well, and it looks good when it goes, but it's just not a high percentage shot. I think he's too quick to take it, and he wasn't taking it in this game, so I thought that was good. But he's just a rock in that backup role for Trey right now. he had 9 points off the bench, which was huge in this win overall. Along with that bench unit, Shake Milton was out, and he was really good. Had a few big shots for them to kind of keep Philly in it after we got the lead. We saw a really big block by Collins on Tobias Harris, just more evidence of his energy on the defensive side. We were down by 4 with 8 minutes left, and they finally called a traveling call. I thought they missed like 3 or 4 in this game. Trey and Capella were back on it, hit him with a big lob. And Williams stayed in there with Trey for a little bit, like we saw in the second quarter, but it was only for like 30 seconds. Philly had 11 turnovers to the Hawks 4 at that point in the fourth. They had a couple more after that, but I thought that was the big difference, especially in the second half. We got it tied at 92 with another Capella lob to put it up 2 points for the Hawks. I thought Capella was much better in the second half than he was in the first half, both sides of the court. And defensively was just kind of giving Embiid space to work, but pressuring like right up the middle. Like he was giving him that step back shot, which he obviously wasn't making, but he wasn't fouling him either. So now let's kind of get into the events that led to the Hawks win, the closing minutes of the fourth quarter. Embiid had like 4 free throws that ended up putting Philly up by a couple points. Korkmaz had a 3 to put Philly up 4. And then Collins had that big play where he gets his own offensive rebound, and Trey finds him for a corner 3 that he sinks, and what a great response and a big energy play from him that kept us within 1. Embiid did take a 3 on the next possession, which he's an okay 3 shooter for a guy as big as him, but he can take that as much as he wants, in my opinion. Young did get fouled by Embiid after that, and he makes both to give us a 3-point lead with 50 seconds left. Gallo came back in at that point just to give us a little bit more height and more defense. And then Embiid makes those other 2 free throws. So we were up 1 with about 40 seconds left, and Nate McMillan calls a timeout. And this was by far the worst play of the night from the Hawks. Just a weird draw up that saw us get into shot clock trouble, and Collins tried to hit Capella underneath. Maybe that's how they worked it up, but anyways, the pass was way too hot, and it skips off Embiid's hand, and we end up with the turnover out of a timeout with 26 seconds left for Philly to take the lead. So, but Philly being Philly in that second half turns it over. They Embiid missed that very easy layup where he just put it high off the glass, and it just missed the whole rim, and then it deflects off Harris's hand, and it is a turnover. I thought it was a very good call by Doc to challenge it because it's basically a free timeout. They were out of them. And so with 8.2 seconds left, Atlanta had the ball. McMillan did have a timeout, and they called it to advance the ball. They got it into Trey, and he was fouled, and he makes both to give us a 3-point lead. And that was basically it. I thought that last play, Philly did have a chance to tie it up with a 3-pointer, and they were just giving him way too much cushion. There was Curry took the shot, but Milton brought it up. He had a chance to take it and obviously didn't, but Curry misses the shot, even though the Hawks were pretty soft on defense, and that was the win. So let's get to some takeaways. I thought we were a lot better defensively in this game. We did a good job balancing our presence in the paint and impeding their perimeter shooters. It helped that Philly wasn't shooting very well, and it helped that Embiid was horrible in the second half, but obviously he wasn't feeling it with his leg. He won't be that bad again, and he was playing frustrated and kind of immaturely at points. But Collins was absolutely huge in this game. He was missing some shots in the first half, but just came back with such ferocious energy in the second half. A couple of those put-back dunks were real game changers as far as momentum swings and getting the crowd back into it. But they were putbacks for a reason. The Hawks need to be much better around the rim. They missed so many point-blank shots. They were 3 of 12 from the paint in the first half, and that's just not good enough. That's not going to win you most games. But I thought the bench was a lot better in this game, especially better than Philly's bench. Lou Williams coming in with some big minutes. Gallinari making some big shots and some stops defensively. And Okongwu showing some real potential. Still learning the NBA, still getting used to that backup center role, but can move really well and show some real promise defensively. Had like 3 block shots in the minutes that he played, so that was really good to see. But overall, the series is tied 2-2. We're definitely still not the favorite. That'll be Philly. They do have home court advantage, but it's a best-of-3 series at this point. And we go back to Philly Wednesday night. We do have Atlanta on Friday for Game 6, and then, if necessary, Game 7 on Sunday in Philly. To be determined on the times for that Game 6 and 7. But it's still anyone's series, and the Hawks have just as good a chance as anybody. It's tied. Just have to win 2 of the next 3. And I think they could do it. They just have to, if they play as soundly defensively as they did today and shoot better, if they're getting 100 shots again, if they make 47% instead of 37%, it's a totally different game, and we blow them out. But you just have to shoot better. The looks were there, they just weren't going in. So I'd like to see that return to the mean from what it was in the regular season and in the next series this time around. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I appreciate all of you. Like and subscribe if you want some more content. And like I said, we will be coming out with some Braves and some Atlanta United stuff later in the week. We're going to be previewing the Philadelphia Union game on Sunday and talking some overall big picture stuff about the Braves. But that's it for tonight. God bless. See you later, ATL.